all too often you see online someone saying, hey, we need to do this sport specific change of direction or agility program. And a lot of times you end up seeing people doing just a bunch of pointless ladder drills, or they're doing stuff on the sand, doing stuff in the sand because it looks cool, and they're making it a harder environment they think is going to allow them to be better at their sport and make them faster and whatnot. Or just really, there's a number of things you see online that you're just like, that you see marketed as sport-specific change of direction and agility. And I think there's a time and place for change of direction and agility for sure. But I think, unfortunately, the overall message gets missed in the sense of we do this quote-unquote sport-specific change of direction and agility because it's going to make us faster. And a lot of times that's just simply not the case. So when we look at getting faster in general, more often than not, that needs to be accomplished through a linear speed progression, meaning we're going to work on essentially gradually increasing our speed over certain distances from maybe 5 to 10 yards to 20 yards, 30 yards, maybe 40 yards. And ultimately, a lot of that is going to be dependent on your position, but that is going to be the best way for you to develop true speed more than anything. And there's a multitude of different benefits that come from that, such as, again, just at the very minimum, just you're actually able to develop true speed at high intensities from a linear speed running progression standpoint. The faster you go, the more elastic and reactivity you're going to develop through your lower body and stiffness as a result. And then at that point, essentially the faster you get, the higher speed you develop linearly, you are ultimately going to raise your ceiling of your submaximal speed outputs, which that then brings us into what a lot of these change of direction and agility drills are done at. Majority of what we see out there is not done at a high intensity standpoint for those drills. They are typically done at submaximal effort. So if we then say, okay, how do we get faster at our change of direction and agility work? Well, what we do is we primarily focus on building our top speed from a linear standpoint, which when we do that, that then raises our submaximal components higher, which we can then use at our change of direction and agility standpoint. So that's really kind of how I like to go about it. Again, there needs to be change of direction and agility focus in the program, absolutely, but it should not be the main tool and emphasis that we use to quote unquote build true speed. So how does that work from a programming standpoint? If we're just looking at from a high-low schedule more than anything, let's just say we have an athlete that's on a three high day schedule per week. So Monday is high, Tuesday is low, Wednesday is high, Thursday is low, and then Friday is high. So the way that might work is Monday is going to be your high day. So that might be more of your linear speed development. Let's just say like more explosive starts for 10 yards. Then there's going to be some explosive medicine ball work and jumps, and then lower body work. Tuesday is going to be more tempo work, maybe some upper body weights. Wednesday, we're now going to have another high day. So you want to have at least 48 hours between high days to allow for proper recovery. So Wednesday is going to be our high day. That might be our day where we're now going to have some more change of direction and agility drills. So it depends on ultimately you want to have them be performed at a high intensity, but again, you're likely not going to get to the amount of high speed that you get on Monday. So the reason I like doing that is because you're now going to essentially have, yes, your next high day is 48 hours after, but it shouldn't be as taxing as that Monday speed session. You might get to a certain point where it is taxing. It is as taxing as that, but when you're first starting off, that's not going to be the case. And then you'll have lower body weights again. Thursday is going to be another low day, tempo, maybe some upper body weights. And then Friday, you're going to have another linear speed day. So we did starts on Monday. This time we might be at, depending on what block we're in, if we're only out to 10 yards, we might repeat at those 10-yard starts or those explosive short accelerations, or maybe we're going out to 20, maybe 30 yards, depending on where we're at. So it could be a little bit more of an or a max velocity emphasis, whereas Monday was more of that early acceleration emphasis. And a lot of this is going to very greatly depend on, not only the sport, but the position in the sport as well. So that's going to ultimately depend on how far you're going in your sprints, but also what type of drills you are doing. So again, when you look at that schedule as a whole, the main emphasis, you have 2 speed days and then 1 change of direction and agility day. So again, to bring it all together, to truly get better at change of direction and agility, yes, you need to have drills that represent that in your program, but the true driver of your speed work needs to be in a linear focus where you don't have to worry, you don't have to make change your, you don't have to change your direction, which is then going to ultimately dampen your total speed output. So that's generally the schedule and the breakdown that I like to go on for how we incorporate change direction and agility work into a true speed program.